harassed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on, so Newhoff in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani, not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the out pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And it definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down in towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is... Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. It's now Pike going to have a go at Werrell. Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's just such a he's touched on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
On to the back end of Phil Jocelyn, so there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot have fun. Yeah, it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching. And Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Simracers Revival Sports Car Championship here for the penultimate round. It's round number 7 here from the Oesterreich ring, today known as the Red Bull ring, but of course back then it didn't have a sponsor to its name and it had a different layout as well that you can see on your screen there with the first corner chicane that was added just in 1977, we were talking about before this broadcast went live, and then the rest of this circuit, which is actually fairly well preserved today in the Red Bull Ring as we know it. It's myself, Ian O'Leary, and James to do the broadcast as well and go ahead with the race. Looking forward to it as well. We always enjoy this series. The cars are fantastic, a challenge to drive. The circuits, the way they're historically restored here in R-Factor 2 are wonderful as well. And this is another great example of that, a track mod being used and put to good use here, because this is a great layout to have and one that is very rarely used in the world of sim racing. I'm sure not many people have been around it. So looking forward to this, and looking forward to 38 laps, I believe, here in the race in a few moments' time.
Yeah, it should be a really good one there. Ewan did cut out just a little bit, so it is Ewan O'Leary and myself, James Parfitt, on that one. For some reason, he just went, I don't know what happened there, Mr. O'Leary, he just went completely dead. This layout itself is going to be very interesting right now. Now, we were talking about it, as you said, we were talking about it before we come on air, and it is just that turn one sort of janky chicane, really, that's put in. You just see it here. But you said it's been put in for a reason, I believe, as well.
Yeah, in the build-up to the 1975 Austrian Grand Prix, I believe it was, there was unfortunately a fatality there at turn one in a practice or qualifying session before the Grand Prix itself, and so a couple of years later they added in that first chicane. And actually it's quite hard to believe that they used to go around turn one without a chicane anymore, because the rise up towards it's effectively a blind corner, a really fast corner, and there's a huge drop off just the other side of the barrier as well, so it's somewhat hard to believe there wasn't a chicane there for years and years and years beforehand. But yeah, sadly it did take a fatality for it to be added in, and so we were discussing whether it was the first chicane ever. Let's have a look at the championship point situation going into this round. The penultimate round, of course, which means that the points could actually be, or the champion could actually be settled at the end of this race. Oliver Day has 25 points over Risto Corpi. I don't believe is here at the moment, and so that would almost immediately give Day the championship anyway. Andy Schremser is third. He is here. After a double podium to start the season. She's fifth, ahead of Michael Stoke, who is in sixth place at Rolf Gerber. Thomas Rosser hasn't been here for a couple of rounds, but he's here today, along with Oli Kayan-Lati, who was the winner in the last round at Sebring, and Vito Martino is in 10th place in the points. It's a big lead for Oliver Day, and given that Risto Corpi is the only driver who can catch him now, one of the drivers who I don't believe is here today, it's going to be tricky for him to lose the championship from here. Day has got a free hand from here to do what he likes in this race.
Yeah, he's too far ahead. You know, look at what he's got at the moment, unless there was some major drama that happened there as well. Yes, Stacey Scott, we are aware Mr. O'Leary's mic does keep cutting in and out for some reason. We are trying to sort that out in the background. But I think Oliver Day is just too far out in front. I can't see anybody losing, him losing this championship. I think it's going to be all or nothing for him. And I think that is going to be it, I believe, going into the final season. So we'll see how they get on here as well. Just going into warm up and before we get the race underway, but it should be a fun one on that. And we're fighting in the background, Kim, with obviously Mr. O'Leary's mic on that one.
I don't know why, but there we go. Because you know, it's not coming out on my end, so I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, let's have a look at the schedule going forward into this round of the championship as well, because we are towards the end of the season, starting all the way back, of course, in the middle of the summer in June at Mosport. We started with a victory for Risto Corpi, who took that early championship lead and held on to it for a couple of rounds, but ever since Daytona, Oliver Day has been able to take hold in that American leg of the championship in the only July round, and then at the start of August, the round as well. And as we were discussing actually last time we did one of these together at Brands Hatch. We were discussing what layout of Spa they were going to be using. In the end, we got the layout we wanted, which is good. But we're wondering what layout of Le Mans we're going to get this time as well.
Yeah, I think. I don't know. There's multiple layouts in and around that era, isn't there? We were looking earlier on, and there was nothing short between 76 and 78. There's like 3, 6, 9, 10 layouts. That's a possibility of being used. So we'll have to wait and see which layout they're going to use. If they're going to use the 65 to 67, you've got Indianapolis, Arnage. Oh, hello, gentlemen. Or one lady and a gentleman there as well. Becky Ely having a bit of a ding-dong with Thomas Rosser. So if they're going to use that layout, it'll be interesting to see how they get on. But we'll get final classification of what layout they are going to use on that one. It could be very, very exciting, I think. I'm not a fan. We said this off air as well. I'm not a fan of Le Mans. I have to be honest. It does not float my boat at all.
Just a disgraceful opinion.
It's not a disgrace. It's too long. You go on the modern day circuit. You go straight, turn left, right. Go straight, turn right, left. Go straight, turn right. I'm all saying. No, just no.
No, it's one of my favourite circuits, so I'm not.
But you don't like Sebring, and I love Sebring.
Oh, this is true. I really don't like Sebring, so it's a good job I wasn't on that round earlier on. But yeah, I mean, did you think the old Spa layout was too long? I mean, that's not an excuse for a track to be bad, surely.
No, we wanted the old Spa layout, but unfortunately there was. We didn't broadcast the Spa layout, did we?
I wouldn't have done anyway. I don't know.
No, I don't think we broadcasted it due to them having an issue with participation. So I think as much as we loved... I can't remember if we did. Now you're making me think too far. I'm pretty sure we did not broadcast Spa. But we did get the layout we wanted. And at the end of the day, I think it will be... I'd love to see him go back there because we really wanted to broadcast it. And no, we did not get participation at Spa, so unfortunately we did not broadcast the Spa one. But I like that kind of makeup of Spa. But for me, Le Mans is just meh.
No, I don't agree, but fine. we'll get to that for the final round, of course, and indeed what layout we're going to have, because as we were discussing before we went on air, it's had one of the most amount of modifications to it I've seen for quite some time, to be honest, in circuits that I've been having a look at. This circuit has, of course, changed many times down the years, but only about 8 or so modifications. Le Mans has had about 20, I think, since it was first ran back in the 1920s, where it did look very, very different to today. Sliding around these final few moments here of warm-up before the start of the race. What this chicane does do at the top of the hill here, by the way, makes turn one, lap one, very interesting indeed. When it was a more flowing corner, everyone could sort of filter their way through a little bit more easily. But it's a big stop now, and it's a rather tight chicane to begin the race.
Yes, it is. It's not ideal, and I'm hoping just people manage to get through on that one. Kim D says fight. I don't think me and Mr. O'Leary are going to put on a charity boxing match just for you, Kim. I've got to be honest. And confirmation of Le Mans, it's actually 23 different layouts since 1920.
3.
Yeah.
A layout for every year, every 4 years.
Yeah, basically on that one. So, but I think you've got to get through this chicane. You've got to get through that Hellelic chicane at the beginning, right? Because let's face it, you don't want your race all done after turn 1. So let's make sure they can get through it here. I've got 38 laps of action, and I want to watch 38 laps with 9 drivers in if we can.
Yeah, that would be nice to see as the time ticks down on warm-up.
And he's cut out again.
Come across the line for a final time, will they? I'm not sure. But soon enough, they'll be... yeah, I'm okay. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure what's going on. You are going in and out, my dear.
I don't know why, because everything is smooth as can be over as far as it sounds to me. So I don't know. Supposedly, yeah.
Well,
there we go. There's the session complete, and so 38 laps will be put up now, and the race will be almost ready to go. Everyone, of course, will grid up now, and as I say, the start will be very important. Looking forward to seeing what weather conditions are going to be on the board as well here, because as we're changing session, we're going through all the weather conditions by the looks of things. It's gone back to the sort of gloomy that we've seen through much of the race and practice session so far.
Yeah, here is the starting order for you, sir. Mr. O'Leary, are you here?
Sorry, I'm back again now.
Let's try that one again.
That definitely. Should we try again? Well, it's definitely a breakup in the Discord. So Becky Ely does take pole ahead of Olli Kajanlahti, then Thomas Russert and Oliver Day, the championship leader and champion in waiting, sharing row 2. Then in fifth position, it's Michael Stoit. With Andy Schrempser in sixth position. Rolf Gerber and Philip Ducati round out the 4 rows of the grid. With Bruno Chacon back in the server again, I believe, after that qualifying session. So they're out on their way on the formation. That still doesn't look to me like it's been raining at all now, and it looks like a dry start. But I've given up trying to see what these conditions are doing because it seems impossible to tell.
Yeah, 1 minute it's kind of like UK. 1 minute it's raining, 1 minute it's not. 1 minute it is, and 1 minute it's not. And at the moment, it's not. So good luck to them. And hopefully these guys can get to the end of this race without any issues. Although, as we've seen previously, it doesn't always work out.
No, it certainly doesn't. So Akili will lead them around for a warm-up lap. Not much weaving going on, in all honesty, but that might come towards the end of this formation lap. Interesting that Oliver Day has qualified down in 4th position here. Of course, the champion in waiting, as I say. He's finished in the top 2 in each of the last 5 rounds, so surely we're expecting him during this race to make up some positions and generally be consistent, keep it on the road and make up some positions that way rather than anything else. It would be a surprise to see the championship leader with that run coming to an end here in this race.
Yeah, but does he need to worry too much?
No.
Well, there you go then.
He
ain't going to matter, is it? Yeah, man. He can be where he is. There's no Risto Corpi. So
no, exactly.
as far as we're concerned, the championship is already done here.
Yeah, it is. It is. But, they're still expecting him to do something in the race for sure because that's what he's done so far this season. And he's been pretty ruthless with it, so we'll see where he gets to. Andy Schrempser, as I say, is 3rd in the championship. He's the next in the list. 6th place for him in this qualifying place, but I would suggest that's right around where he's been all season, really. He's finished very consistently between 5th and 7th throughout the season so far. That's remarkable consistency, really, and so expecting something similar from him today as well there. Despite the fact he's in 3rd in the championship, he will stay around 6th place.
Consistency, isn't it? That's the thing, isn't it? We talk about these races and it's all about just being consistent and finishing the race, and that's what Andy Schrempser seems to do, and he does it so well.
Yeah, he certainly does. So they make their way onto the front straight, a rather slow formation lap dictated by Becky Ely, who now pulls into the left-hand side of the box and then slowly creeps up to the line, although leaves a lot of space on the table there. Not sure whether she can move any closer to the line, but she's given up a metre there also. There goes Kalinati into position, Rosser as well, and everybody else behind. All 9 drivers in position. They rev the engines and they get ready to go racing in the penultimate round of the Sim Racing Revival Sports Car Championship. The Oesterreich ring for the penultimate round, and it's Becky Ely who tries to hold on to a lead off the start, and Kajanlahti slides all over the place, trying to get down the inside on the way towards turn number 1. Up the hill they'll go, steep climb into the first chicane for the first time. Ely does hang on, despite giving up a little bit of space in the box and getting off to a rather slippery start. She hangs on to the lead out of the first chicane.
Yeah, she's done a great job. Did everything she needed to do to get that car off the line. Cargelati was pushed in right behind, and he is still there now, trying to look at going up the inside into the right-hander. Not going to be able to get it done this time. Is he going to be able to get it done down the Rovaline Gerard, of course, which is down into the Bosch curve? It's going to be interesting here. Can Becky get this car warmed up and get it away from Cargelati? She's definitely got the pace. Has us Thomas Rosa, has us Ollie Day. So it'll be interesting to see now how much further she can push away from Cargelati.
That's through the left-hander they go, and now into the Bosch curve, a long right-hand hairpin, effectively. Long looping right-hander where you do sort of want to triangle off the corner almost and take that late apex, using all of the exit road now as well, leading down the hill towards the Texaco chicane. I'm not sure why it's called a chicane, because it's just a double left-hander, but anyway, that's what it's called. As through the first bit she goes, then further downhill into the second left-hander. This is the part of the circuit that is recognisable from today.
Yeah, that's Roush and Worth coming out of turn 7 and turn 8 to the right-hander. So that's basically what that run would be. You go down into Rint, I think it is, the right-hander now, and then there's obviously that little straight that just sort of kicks in about now. Then you go down and turn right for the last corner coming onto the start-finish straight. So that is not changed on that circuit. It's still the same, just still got a long looping right-hander at the end. I believe we may have lost Mr. O'Leary again. Are you still back, Mr. O'Leary?
I'm still here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Sorry. I'd finished and nobody said anything.
Oh, right. Oh, I was talking, but there we go. Okay, fine. So down the hill they'll go again. Kai and Lottie is still very close on the way towards turn 2 here. I say very close. It's within a second, I suppose. But I can't see there being a load of overtaking opportunities, really. I mean, it's fairly narrow. It's difficult to drive on your own anyway. I'm not sure where there's going to be a chance for Karen Larchie to really overtake. Maybe turn 1, but even that's quite tricky.
Yeah, it is. And I do wonder whether or not Carl Light is going to struggle here. He's in a car that hasn't got a wing. It looks like a skateboard on 4 wheels. And he's trying to keep up with Becky Ely that has got a wing on the car. So is there going to be a big difference to him thinking grip? Is Carl Light's aerodynamic more streamlined? What do we think the situation is in these sort of machines? Obviously they're the same base, we are aware of that, it's just the body kit on top. But back in the day when they were separate cars, do we think that the skateboard there at the hands of Cargelati would have struggled more than the car that Becky Ely's got hold underneath her?
Well, first of all, by the way, skateboard with 4 wheels, that's they generally do come like that. But
you know what, hey, Mr. O'Leary, you're just picking on me now.
I guess oh dear, sorry, yeah, that was a dropout as well. I'm not sure this Discord channel's liking me very much. Because it keeps throwing me out for about a second and then bringing me back again. Don't know what that's all about.
I'll tell you what, give me a minute. Let's bump us down into the interview room and give us 2 seconds on this while we just quickly set this up and see if we can get this back again, where Mr. O'Leary doesn't seem to have the problems that we're having now. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Yeah, I've been hearing you fine the whole time, but yeah, whether you can hear me is a problem. And for the second time in 2 days, we'll be ripping up another Discord.
Yes.
And completely disregarding its channels. But anyway, let's brush over that. Yeah, I guess so. In the real world, I mean, the circuit does seem to lend itself to that aerodynamic grip rather than mechanical grip, which surely Kyan Larty's car would certainly have a lot more of. Ely's will of course be planted to the ground by that rather large rear wing, and so that would have helped, I suppose, but I don't know, that they must be balanced in some sort of way. It's just different ways of thinking about it. Back in the day, I suppose there was not the same level of aerodynamic understanding as there is today.
Well, he nearly didn't have any aerodynamics at that point, as Cargelati nearly went and spun the car there. You see the opposite grip, the opposite steering input he was putting in. Everybody else is a little bit more spread out than what we would have liked this early on. You can see on the left-hand side there's like 3, 4, 2, 2, 12 and 9. Ducati is out, and this is why.
this is a few moments ago. Quite a few moments ago.
Ooh, where did he do? Okay. He's been in the pits for quite a while then. Oh, not that one.
I think it happened on lap 1, actually. But we were watching the leading battle at the time.
Yeah.
I wonder, maybe just disconnected, to be honest. Oh.
No, that's back
no,
on board
maybe
with
not.
Becky Ely. Yeah, I'm wondering if that was the situation here as these guys continue to fight. Let's see if we can actually pick up on what Carson on Philippe Ducardi did. He's running there.
Just pulled off it. To the right. Yeah, just looks like... oh, well, back on again. Well, struggles on the opening lap, first of all. Down at turn number 2. Oh, and a spin into the wall as well. Just saves it from going in the wall for a second time. Oh,
his engine.
Engine goes. That's a very early engine failure. But it didn't even make it half a lap.
No, but I do wonder whether or not that's due to the fact that obviously he'd been on the grass. Might have been the problem for Philippe Ducardi, and it caused a little bit of a clog up, and next thing you know, it's just gone poof. The engine just gave out and he didn't love it anymore. So, yeah, for Ducardi, the only real person that's caused a bit of a drama during the opening 4 laps of 38 here, and it's all really resting on whether or not Carjanlari is going to be able to get Becky Ely, or will Becky just take a run away with it?
That's going to stay close for the moment. Yeah, I mean, or a downshift in the wrong place, I suppose, for Ducati would do that as well. But anyway, out over the rise at the right-hander they go, and then down in towards the rink curve, the final corner on this circuit. Really a great overtaking chances. They're so flowing, these corners, that you're barely on the brakes, and that makes it very difficult to overtake. I do wonder if Kai and Lati is quicker. They're just on the same speed, and they're trailing one another at the moment as they go over the line. Ely does go quicker that time because it's a new best lap time of the race as they go over the rise and in towards turn 1, fighting the cars under brakes. And Lati goes a little bit deep, but that's surely got to be the best chance. That's the biggest braking zone on the circuit, and might be the only chance to make a move.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think for Carjalati, he's got to really kind of either get a great exit out of one and make it on the through the right and the left here, or he's just got to sit there and wait. And if you've just got to sit there and wait continuously, it's going to get very, very frustrating as Becky Ely gets that car sideways.
Very much so, but it seems to be that's the way to drive these cars for whatever reason. Difficult way, of course, but that seems to be the way, as Ely now does seem to be looking in the mirrors a little bit and just looking at where Kain Lati is and watching out. Oh goodness, that was late on the brakes in towards what I'm going to call turn 5-ish of this circuit. Very late on the brakes, and well, loses a bit of time out of that, actually. Went a bit too deep.
Yeah, and unfortunately he's got to try and get back and have another go, isn't he? He's not going to be able to basically try and make it up. But that's the problem with Carjalati pushing as he is going to be, look at the car. Look, it's sliding. And now does visually look like we have rain. Just a little few drops there, I think we can safely say, are coming down. But for Carjalati, he's got to be a little bit careful. If he goes and puts too much oomph into his manoeuvres, shall we say, it could end up ruining both of their races.
Yeah, and again, still struggling somewhat to actually see whether it is raining and how much effect it's really having. It does look like it's raining a bit, but RFX2's rain's very obvious when it's falling. But this is less so. You're really having to squint and try and see it, which makes things a little bit more difficult as they go into turn 1. Kain Lati actually hits the apex this time rather than going a bit too deep as he did one lap ago. Out through turn 3 they go now and down the hill. And Lati still very much there and lurking. By the way, Russa and Day are not too far away from each other for 3rd and 4th. I mean, there are other battles going on. I'll say they're not that far apart. They are relatively far, actually. There's the gap you can see. Oliver Day not quite as quick as he has been in some of the previous rounds for whatever reason in this early part of the race.
Yeah, but again, I don't know if he's that bothered about it. like, you know, he's already wrapped it up, hasn't he? You can see visually see the rain on the cockpit there. That is great help on that one. And I don't know if he would be that worried. He's just got to sit back. He's got to keep the car on circuit. And I think at the end of the day, it's going to be one of the toughest things, keeping a car in the rain on a racetrack. It's not easy. I tried to drive Silverstone in a GT3 the other day in a different simulator. Did not go well. Gotta be honest. However, the Corvette at Alton Park in the rain is very, very exciting indeed. But it's hard. It is really hard, especially when it's as real as we can make it at a circuit that, in conjunction with nowadays, is slippery. There's nothing on it. Once rain hits it, that's it. It's just going to be, you might as well drive on ice.
Yeah, it is going to be very slippery. A question in the YouTube chat, by the way, from Kim, who says, will there be pit stops in this race? Now, last time I did this series, I was surprised to find there wasn't, but it wasn't raining that day at Brands Hatch, and it was a race that had a pit stop in by one or two of the drivers. Let me just remember who. I think it might have been Oliver Day.
Yeah, Carl Gelati was out in front, wasn't he? Or was it Bristol Corpy? Might have been Corpy.
It was Corpy, yeah. Gelati wasn't at that race. It was Corpy. So it's yes, I think so. So will there be pit stops? I mean, I'm willing to go and say probably yes, actually, because of the rain. However,
no.
You clearly think differently.
Yeah, I don't think there will be. I don't think there's going to be any need to. The slower lap times are not going to be burning fuel off as much. The rain itself is not going to really affect of the tyre situation. I don't really believe they're going to need to be honest with you. I think if it continues to rain, unless it completely dries out, then we might have to go in for dry tyres. But other than that, I can't see the changeover.
Okay, we'll keep an eye out, of course, as we keep following Oliver Day here, now being caught himself by Michael Stoy, who's in 5th place at the moment, 6th place at the moment in the championship. If he scores enough points, he might well get ahead of Bogle, who isn't here today, Matthias Bogle, only 5 points ahead of him. And at the moment, yes, he would be scoring just enough points. In this series, by the way, the top 10 get points. Obviously, that's not going to be a factor here today, but it's a really old school championship as Gerber comes in, so we've already got one stop. We'll see how many we get. As I say, old school in many ways. The cars that we're using, the tracks that we're using, which are, of course, the older versions of each, but also a point system that's pretty old school, really. The fact that we go down from 20 to 1 for 10th place. These days in a lot of series, everybody gets points, or at least a lot of drivers get points. Even in Formula 1, 10 drivers get points now, when it used to be 6, etc. It's a pretty strenuous system, although everyone's going to be getting some today if they finish.
Yeah, but it makes it very easy for me and you, which is great. I love easy when it comes to us trying to figure out what points. You know, don't lie. As Oliver Day takes a trip there, Bruno Chicane has also been off. Oh, Oliver Day cannot get that car back on that circuit at all.
No. So Stoy goes through pretty quickly there. Oliver Day loses a lot of time very quickly, and Stoy goes through immediately. This is not looking great for the championship leader at the moment. He's on course for his worst finish of the season so far. He's not finished worse than 4th, which was back at Mosport, so this will become his drop round. Not that it really matters, as we mentioned previously, but it's a very strange thing to see.
Yeah, Andy Schremser's had a moment. Don't think it's dramatic, but we'll have a look.
Might be. He's in the pit lane. So, did he come in voluntarily? Oh, no, he didn't. Oh, goodness me, Andy Schremser. Well, he was on course for a really good finish as things were going, but he's lost the rear and the exit of the final corner. Here it is. Oh, goodness, he's hit the wall very hard there.
That is practically over, isn't it?
Well, he's got a lot of repairs to do, for sure. I think he'll soldier on, but he will be in pit lane for quite a while. And that's a real shame. As I mentioned, I think he was in 4th at the time, wasn't he? At the time of that crash. That would have been his best result of the season so far. And it might have even been 3rd, but anyway, he was on course for his best result of the season so far, and unfortunately, he is crashed into the wall and into pit lane and will be for some time.
Yeah, he's going to be there for quite a while, I think, for Andy Trump's on that one. And if he comes back out, we've got Bruno Chicon also in pit lane.
This is another accident.
Yeah, it is. He's going to spin it up.
Well, it's not too much to hit out here. Just a bit of grass. He looks like he's come back into pit lane, maybe for a tyre change. But it's him up to 6th place, but only very briefly here. So the bottom 3 have now been in already. Ducati, of course, out the race with a engine failure. But we should see Gerber back through again, and already all but the top 5 off the lead lap with still 30 laps remaining. It's going to be a very long and challenging race just to get to the end of this. You can see, by the way, that these cars are behaving now. The rain is certainly falling, and it's very tricky conditions.
Yeah, they're going to have to really play it by feel now and be as careful as possible, I think, because, as we say, we've still got, what do we got, 29 laps to go of this circuit. You can see how much Stoyer's spitting up the rooster tails out the back of the car there. Oliver Day trying to be very, very careful, but there's a lot of left hands down going for a right hand corner, which isn't something that we should be seeing any more than we really want to be seeing that.
But again, I mean, it does sort of go into the way that these cars are driven around the corners. They get on the power early and you slide your way through the exit, whether it's in the rain or not, and the spray really is kicking up now. You can see very obviously coming out of the rear, it's not engine failures all round, it's just spray which is really coming up off the back of the rear tyres now and creating a bit of a problem for absolutely everybody. But it is not the most comfortable drive. Again, it goes back to the thing we were talking about earlier on about these cars are just difficult to drive, and by driving them in this way, it is the quickest way, but it's also a pretty tricky way to drive these cars. As we're finding out here, Oliver Day going wide again there into the left-hander. He's losing time at the moment.
Yeah, he is at the moment, but as you say, I wouldn't want to be trying to drive these cars like that. I wouldn't want to be trying to drive the steering wheel where I'm turning left to go right or right to go left. I don't know how much muscle power I would have by the end of the race, to be blatantly honest, if I kept constantly trying to fight with it, because you can see the movements. He turns it right, and then he's got it left, gets it back straight, and then, you know, you kind of want to be avoiding the puddles. Not that there's many other places to go, but maybe push it over to the right hand side just a bit, bring it left as you go up the hill now locking it down through the gears you go, and then just watch it's right, trying to get the car left, not turning. Now he's got to go right again, full half lock, now full half lock left. It's a bit of a workout getting these cars around this circuit like that.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a bit of a workout getting them around anyway, isn't it really? It's just a real big challenge, but that's what we love about this series. Such a challenging series to compete in, even to get to the end of these races, never mind win. And that's why we take our hat off to Oliver Day, who's been up there in the top 4 every race this season. But again, it just surprises me that he's seeing his run come to an end at this round of the championship at a circuit, and in these conditions he just looks really, really uncomfortable. And I know that everybody's sliding around and making this look tricky, because it is, but he more than anyone seemingly is struggling for grip at the moment.
Yeah, the problem is though, you know, look at the circuit, puddle. There's, it's swamped, isn't it? There's not many other places where you can actually get this car gripping. And at the moment, you've got a little bit going up here, but then bang, you're into a puddle straight away, and another puddle, and more puddles. And, they say hunt the grip out in the rain, but you can't hunt the grip if there's rain everywhere. Yeah,
it's true. That is true. So conditions only getting worse here. And only getting worse as they slide their way through another left-hander. Just me. It's so difficult. As I say, thankfully in some ways, and in some corners anyway, not much to hit round here as they go through the Texaco chicane, as it's called. It's not a chicane, but that's what they call it. The double left-hander. Round here there certainly is, through the Bosch curve, as you can see. Was that the Brink curve? Sorry, the Bosch curve's earlier, isn't it?
Yeah, Brink is the last one.
Brink is the last one, sorry. It's just got Bosch advertising on the outside, which is slightly confusing, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Over the line he goes again. Yeah, not much to hit through those double left-handers. I was watching a bit of footage from this circuit from, 50 odd years ago, 45 years ago, from when Formula One used to race around here, which of course this time it most certainly was in the 1970s, and it's what forced the reversion to a chicane at turn 1 after all, and it was a downpour pretty similar to this one, and everybody just ended up in the grass and getting stuck there because there was nothing to hit. But in the same way, wet grass out there, and very thick wet grass as well. It doesn't look very well kept. It meant that people would just end up leaving their cars on the outside of that double left-hand chicane with no way of getting them out again until the race was over, because the grass was so thick and it was so wet, and there was just no barrier to keep them contained within a circuit. It was just a bit of a free-for-all, as motorsport often was back in the 1970s and 60s.
Well, to be honest, if you come out of a race alive, you've had a good one. So at the end of the day, it's one of them things, isn't it? Back then, it was just a completely different scenario. But I remember also in Brazil, I think it was in Interlagos, where it was raining in a Formula One race, and it was literally coming through the SRSCs and going to turn left onto the Rada Aposta. There was just a mound of cars sliding off down through the SRSCs, where the water was running down the hill and was just aquaplaning them all down. And I think that day actually became a red flag on that one, because there was just not a lot of room to go. And it's the same when you're at a circuit like this. The problem is when it's like anything, right? When grass gets wet, it gets boggy. When it gets boggy, you spin it up, and the furthest you're doing is spitting mud 10 feet in the air. You're not actually making any difference or headway going in any direction. So back then, I suppose, as you say, if you got stuck, you might as well just have got out and gone, you can have it, I'll see you later.
Yep. As we continue to follow the story here, by the way, and that was actually, the elevation actually was something you were commenting on before we went live here, that there is quite a lot of noticeable elevation around here. It is worth highlighting the differences between this circuit and the one we have today, and we'll do that in a moment as well. But you did note that it's a very hilly circuit after all. It is based in the Styrian Mountains, basically the Alps. The same. You can't really go between here and the Alps without finding just pure mountains. It's like around here. And as we follow the leaders again, we'll have a look at what happened here into the first chicane for Kayan Lati, braking a little bit too late and taking the old layout, but there's some fencing in the way. Oh, it's drive-throughable, thankfully. We'll get away with that, but he will lose a bit of time there, Kayan Lati, now nearly 5 seconds behind.
Yeah, I did wonder why all of a sudden it dropped down, and it was only until I looked, and that was what we were faced with for Ollie Cargianati. He's going to have to try and go again here on that one. Definitely rain ties. They've only got rain or dries, Tigger. There isn't a different format. It's literally rain or dry. There isn't like super soft, softs, medium softs. Cargianati is going to aquaplane that car and nearly lose it altogether.
And also to go back to I was making earlier on about race I was watching from a very long time ago. Oh, as he slides his way through the final corner, just to sort of give you an idea of how almost basic it was back in these times. The race on that occasion, I think it was a late 70s Austrian Grand Prix, actually red flagged because of the rain. Not because it was terribly bad, but because everyone needed to come in and change tyres. These days, obviously, everyone would come in all at once, and all the pit crews, with about 70,000 each, would go for it as he slides his way through turn 3. Beginning to struggle a little bit here. They needed a red flag to deal with these conditions beforehand, so they're not a new thing, these red flags for weather. As we go on board with Kayan Lati, as he really starts to fight the car now. Ela gets an even bigger lead, and Kayan Lati just tries to hang on to the car more than anything else. He was almost spinning out of turn 3 there.
He must have arms of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Whoa!
Cargianati working absolutely meteorically in that car. That has got to be a workout and a half for Ollie Cargianlati there, because it's literally, you know, left to right, left to go right, right to go left, and this car is a right old handful.
Yeah, it is. It's, as you say, it's like a skateboard. Or I feel like it's not quite the right description, but it's certainly. Oh, and he's lost it now. He's lost it properly now onto the grass bank, and he's going to slide his way back onto the road. Is he? No, not really. He'll go round the outside on the grass. We'll lose a lot of time here. Becky Healy's lead doubles, and Rosser all of a sudden gets a lot closer. Mistakes are creeping in for Ollie Cargianlati as he approaches 1/3 distance in this race, and that's the first big mistake we've really seen him make.
Yep, he was all sitting comfortable and cruising along, and then unfortunately that happened, and now he's got a bit of a man mountain as Becky Healy is about 11.5 seconds up the road, and it's 4.5 back to Thomas Rosa. So hopefully, well, I don't really know what Cargianlati is going to be able to do here, but Becky Healy really needs to keep this car on track.
Yep, and at the moment is doing. We haven't seen her make an error so far. So let's not jinx it by saying that too loudly. She makes her way out of the first chicane for another lap. 13 gone now in this 38-lap race, so we are officially a third of the way through already. It's been a pretty impressive pace from Becky Healy, stretching out now an over 11-second lead. It's sliding, but it just looks a lot more controlled, doesn't it, than just for Cargianlati. Fighting, of course, all the way, but not quite as out of control, although that was a little bit through turn 4.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. See, let's have a look, jump on board with Becky here and see what she does with that steering wheel. You can see the difference is that Cargianlati did not look comfortable down a straight, let alone down into a corner. I think that's why they need to, for Ollie, I don't know if we were talking about mechanical or aerodynamic grip, but clearly the aeros are not on that little car. I think, you know, he's got to remember that there's no real wing on the back. He's got to try and apply the pressure gently. And I think now it kind of might be almost showing that Becky's car looks a little bit more stable than what Ollie Cargianlati's was.
Take note of how often she's full throttle here as well. You can see that indication on the bottom right here. There is almost no occasion where she's full throttle around here, because you're always twisting. There'll be a little bit of it there. Then you've got to lift off over the top of the hill, and there will be a little bit as they go uphill now, finally into the final corner, up to 4th gear. But really using 3rd and 4th here around this circuit. Really slipping down into 2nd at any stage, because it's just not slow enough, other than, I believe, the first chicane where maybe they'll choose 2nd, but even then the driver's generally staying in 3rd just to keep the traction a little bit, or make the traction a little bit easier. Up to 4th, but I don't believe they even grab 5th on the way in towards turn 1 here. It's just 3rd and 4th all the way round pretty much, down to 3rd and then into 2nd for the only time on this lap to really get it turned in for that first part. Probably a short shift on the way out of here. The final part of the chicane's a little bit easier, but they use most of the rev range there for 2nd gear, and then through 3rd, then through 4th, but literally using 3 of the gears in this car the whole way round. That's how difficult it is, because after all, changing gear does unsettle things, and if you keep it in a higher gear, then the traction should be a little bit easier, with the power just being delivered a little bit more evenly, a little bit more just low key. There you go, up over the hill again, and yeah, it's changing from 3rd up into 4th, and then back down to 3rd again next time they get on the brakes.
Yeah, you've got to be smooth. You have to be smooth.
Sorry. Just 5th briefly, but other than that,
there you go. Back up. You got to be smooth, right? That's where I was going with this. You got to be smooth on gearing. You got to be smooth on your throttle inputs, your braking, everything. Your steering rotation to make sure you don't overcook it there either. And Becky Healy's just done that so well. You know, she's 13 seconds ahead now. Thomas Rosa is closing in on Cargianlati, but he's 3.2, give or take, back, and then we've got quite some big gaps behind him. So at the end of the day, just keep it on track. I think that's what's got to be one of the main things here.
Yep. Oh, and there's the sliding from Cargianlati again. This, by the way, is probably my favourite car of the 9 we've got to choose from here today. I don't mind this livery especially. It's very famous with Porsches, the Martini livery. Doesn't look bad, this car. Looks a little bit strange from some angles, but they all do have some very unique shapes and characteristics. And by the way, Becky Ely was catching up to some lap traffic there as well, so more to negotiate there for her. There we go. One of the red, sort of more narrow, sleeker machines with no rear spoiler, unlike Becky's car. And then in towards the first chicane, he's going to be held up a little bit here by Chacon, who's going to go 2 laps down.
Yeah, he is, but he needs to also be aware that she is there. There'll be nothing worse than Becky Ely getting taken out by Bruno Chacon, who's a couple of laps down, and not knowing that she's there. Can you imagine the uproar? Oh, blimey. Don't mess with Becky.
With you on lap traffic either.
Yeah, don't even go there with me.
That would be grisly. Out of the 4th corner she goes, and sliding customarily with the power on. But look at the gap already created to Chacon. It is so tricky that there are seconds created in moments for these top drivers over those down towards the back. I thought Chacon would actually have a chance at catching Gerber for 7th place after the 3 at the bottom had made pit stops already in this race, but Chacon has not really been able to make an impression at all, has lost a bit of time to Gerber now, and is just plodding along at the moment on board with the Alfa Romeo branded car. Now you can see the difference between the first in the field and 8th place in this field.
Yeah, it's a massive thing, isn't it? And it's got a lot to do with how confident you are in the rain, right? You can see Chacon is not kind of sitting back thinking, actually, I'm confident going in here, but I may, if I overturn it, I could end up going off. And you can see Ely's just gone. You know, she's confident behind the wheel, confident with the car, and off she goes. Where Bruno Chacon is a little bit more, basically.
Yeah, a little bit more tricky to hang on. And they go into the final corner. 2nd gear for Chacon through here. I guess it may be different for driver to driver as well, based on what they decide to choose, but I'm fascinated by the telemetry of the throttle down the bottom right there. How little time they're spending full throttle other than when they get onto this front straight, which is by far the longest straight run. Even on the back straight there after turn 4, it's sort of gently weaves around and goes up and down, and that makes it a bit more difficult as they lock up in towards turn 1, and there's one of the tricky parts of it as well. It's braking for turn 1 is quite difficult.
Yeah, this whole... You know, I was going to say something, and I've backtracked and thought about it, and I wonder if there's ever a circuit that gets made for league racing, like this one, or like some of the others that I've driven in as well, that are too wet. I know we've got rain, but is it too wet for these cars?
I wouldn't say so. It's not, it's not uncontrollable. It's just tricky, I think. And also, I don't really know. I mean, I've never made a track before, but I don't know how much the maker of the circuit has control over what the weather does to the circuit, to be honest, because as far as I'm aware, the weather itself is, very much from R Factor 2, and there's not a lot you can do about that, as far as I know.
Maybe I'll do some little bit of digging in that before the next one, because there's got to be a limit on how much rain you can have, otherwise you're hitting red flag territory, right? You're hitting, nobody's got grip, everybody's sliding around, and everybody's off, and it's like, we're going to be here forever doing 38 laps at this rate if people keep terminating themselves. So I wonder if there is that kind of feature where you could have almost like a, like other simulators, as we know, like the Tempest weather system, whether or not that is involved and you can adjust it, or you can sit back or just hit real life and hope for the best. I don't really know, but I do wonder sometimes if it's just a little bit too wet. Does it? For me, I think if it's overly wet, we've got everybody tiptoeing around and we've got anybody really close together, it's tough for the drivers because they end up having to fight in their own mental state, right? Because let's face it, they can't afford to make a mistake. So I think for I don't know if that's an option. Maybe that is an option. If anybody's been in RF2 for absolutely years, tell us if you're able to set a weather system when you set up the session, because that would be great to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting to find out, but at the moment we'll be in the dark. I mean, we see it on our racing actually, don't we, as well, in the recent new weather system that's only been there for about 6 months or so. That sometimes if you've set it to 100% rain there, that would definitely be described as red flag conditions in real life. But I think one of the attractions of sim racing is going into weather conditions like that, where it is almost too wet to drive, and just try, because there is no danger after all, or very little danger in sim racing. I mean, the only damage to yourself you can do, I suppose, is with your own wheel. It's not quite high stakes like real life is, and so we can trial these things at, go racing in really bad conditions and see what happens. That's what sim racing is for.
Yeah, I think with the direct drive wheels nowadays, you hit a wall and it jerks the other way, and if you don't let go of the steering wheel at that point, well, your wrist could quite happily join them. And I think that's the thing, and be twisted completely the opposite way. There's so many people that I've seen messages from saying, I've done my wrist in, my DD wheel went and just jolted me off when I had contact or whatever. And I think sometimes these guys are really, really lucky. You can get to drive some amazing cars without the damage that came with them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the great things. Looks like this bit of lap traffic has allowed Kai and Larchie a bit of time, although, wow, that was a big slide. And just about gathers it up in time for the final corner again as we cross over 20 laps to go now, and we're not too far away from hitting half distance, but Rosser has struggled to get through and he's in the wall now at the final corner. Finally has gotten through on Chacon, who is 8th in the field, but that has seen Rosser in the wall, and all of a sudden, from a gap that was actually coming down to below 3 seconds, all of a sudden we're seeing a gap that's pretty much doubled again now.
Yeah, Randy Schultz has just had a moment as well.
He's just unlapped himself from driver ahead of him in the field after he did that.
Tough for Schultz at the moment. So there we go. But as you say, we're down to just under 19 laps to go, and going to be really interested to see. Don't think, as I say, I swear, I don't believe the leaders are going to come in.
No. It's looking like that will be the case, although we said that about previous races, and then there were pit stops and a very interesting ends to the race at Brands Hatch, in case you weren't with us for that one. It was quite a few weeks ago now, in round 4 of the championship. It's a pretty interesting race, a battle between Giuseppe Pastore and Oliver Day and Risto Corpi for the win, the three of them all going for it. And it was Corpi who took the win on that occasion, gaining some points back from Oliver Day, but that was really the only flicker of hope he had for the remainder of the season, as he finished 8th at Spa. That really set him back, I'm afraid, as far as his championship aspirations go, and since he's not here today, Oliver Day is going to be our champion if he gets to the end of this race, and even if he doesn't, then he still will be, because Corpi is not scoring any points. So Schremser has unlapped himself from Oliver Day now, and I'm just wondering, given the amount of time he's got to make up, about 2 minutes of course, he's got to make it up an entire lap. I'm just wondering whether he could actually do it, because he's got half the race remaining and he's clearly quicker than Day, who he's just overtaken.
No.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think he's going to have the pace. I don't think their lap times. Oliver Day 1:57, Schremser's 1:58. That's the best ones, mind you. Last time out, Day on a 2:09, Schremser on a 2:07. 2 seconds a lap, and we've got 19 seconds to go. No, it's 19 laps to go. No, he's never going to get it.
Well, you say never. I'm not willing to say never, but it is unlikely. He would need to gain about 6 seconds a lap based on my entry maths. So that's quite a lot, and I agree. Probably going to be too many seconds for him to catch. The Day continues to plod around in 5th position in a race that is going to become his drop week. as things stand. Russia's back on the circuit again and catching and into the pit lane, Oliver Day. Oh, so that's 4 out of 8 we've seen in so far. No pit lane speed limit, of course. He just fires on in. No wonder what on earth he could possibly be doing here.
Yeah, I do wonder. I don't know if this is. This can't be for change of tyres, right? Because look at the weather. So it's still going to be rat track.
Unless he wants a new set of wets. Or fuel.
He hasn't gone up on a jack. That's what makes me wonder whether or not.
Don't really know. I did see the car move around. Oh, no, it is going.
Yeah, it is going.
It is going up and down. So I reckon he's just having a new set of tyres, to be honest. Instead of plodding around to 5th position on some tyres that are pretty beaten up and he's feeling pretty miserable about it, he might as well put some new tyres on and then have that bit of ambition as he makes his way out the pit lane. I think this is going to see him go a lap down. Not sure where Becky Ely is, but she's going into the final corner at the moment. We'll see if he gets out ahead. But Tremser should still, and there is Ely. She does go through.
Going into the first one.
The championship leader a lap down. So Oliver Day re-emerges, and his pit time is going to continue on going forever because he hasn't decided to end it as he exited the pit lane. So anyway, Tremser, sorry, go on.
Is that a speaker in the back of Ollie Day's car?
A speaker?
Yeah, look. It looks like a boombox. It looks like a boombox speaker, doesn't it?
Oh, you mean on top of it?
On top.
Yeah. Just a bit, or a great big fan. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure the cars back in these days they were designed quite to up tunes at the same time as driving them.
I know, it just looked good, all right? Give me a minute. I thought that would be absolutely awesome if he had like a boombox in the back and he could just blare out some music. You know what I mean? A bit of Elvis Presley when he's driving around or something like that. I haven't got a camera angle that can see there, unfortunately. But that would be quite interesting to see if that was the case there. And currently, as we are still going here, Becky Ely out in front, Carginati second, and Thomas Rosa in third.
Yep, it is. Sliding through turn 5 goes Oliver Day. Not sure who was behind him there. We were looking right behind him. Is that Kayan Lati behind him? Yeah, it is. So they are together again. And Kayan Lati is just putting another driver a lap down at the moment, or has just put someone else a lap down. Not sure who. Might be Gerber, who is, of course, just ahead of Chacon. We already know Chacon is another lap down here. And the whole field has had to negotiate him. But Gerber's being put a lap down now. And Russa has made a mistake indeed. 9 seconds now, the gap between second and third. That's tripled pretty much from where we saw it only a few laps ago.
Yeah, Thomas Rosa losing time, but I wonder if that was in the process of getting past Bruno Chacon. Remember where he was on the left-hand side and he just went round the corner and couldn't quite get it rotated. So I'm wondering whether or not he can now. Oliver Day's in the pit lane again.
Oh.
For the second time.
This is... Are we on a replay? Or is
no, that is exactly... I'm sure that it's... do you know what? How scary that actually looks, but we are actually live. Yeah. I was going to say we are live.
Oh, okay. It's just not showing on the timing screen, that's all. So I don't know why it's showing him in pit lane again. We can see him in pit lane with our eyes, but we can't on pit lane on the timing.
Oh, Carson light is broken.
Broken? What do you mean broken?
He went off.
Okay. Have a look here in towards turn 1. Whoop! Too late on the brakes. It's very thankful actually that those fences are not destructible, because otherwise we were just seeing quite a few cars coming into conflict with them earlier on. But so for all of those race circuits that do have chicanes these days, that's the best way to observe track limits. Put some grass on the outside of the corner. It used to work back then, works now as well. Thankfully, we are going back to a world of a bit more grass on the outside of circuits, but it's an old school chicane and there was no problems with track limits back here.
No, however, there's a problem in that car for Cargelai.
There is.
Something
He's
cannot...
catching Ely, though.
Yeah, but something cannot be right.
Oh, well.
He's up again.
Well, that's not right.
Something cannot be right in that car. I don't know if he's Tokyo drifting it, auditioning for the film as a stunt driver or something, but he is really having to work that steering wheel to get that car to go in. It keeps hitting puddles and almost aquaplaning off and leaving Cargelati just fighting for grip that ain't there.
Yeah. Well, through again. Yeah. Maybe it is just the way he's driving it and the way he drives it in these conditions, but it doesn't look quite right. Wonder whether he's going to take a change of tyres. Oh, goodness, he very nearly forced himself to as he lost the car into the wall. Still, as he crosses the line there, he's fighting the car. Unbelievable. I think Gerber's gone off, by the way, here, as Chacon is closing in dramatically now for 7th position at the moment. Let's have a look and see what happened there. Oh, this is... Oh.
That is Gerber.
That's Gerber, is it? Okay.
Yeah,
Spinning around, isn't it? So, okay. That really confused me for a moment because I thought that was Kainlati. Rosser comes into the pit lane. So as he was closing in on Kainlati, now he's decided to pit. I still maintain that. Oh no. Is he DNF'd? He's DNF'd.
No, he just pitted in, DNF'd and didn't come out again.
Oh, that's a real shame. On
No
course
reason.
for a podium. It looks like that might be his day done.
Yeah, we have got two, Philippe Ducardi and Thomas Rosa at this moment in time.
Unfortunately, retirements from this
It's going to put Ollie Day in third, though, mind you.
4th, yeah, it is. 4th place. That's good news for him.
Place,
he's not going to have his worst result of the season so far, which is a good thing. And he will take that position very pleased to do so as well. There's Becky Ely, though, 15 seconds in the lead. It did come down to about 12 at one stage, but Kainlati has made a couple of errors, as we just saw in those last few moments. And so with 10 laps to go here, he's looking comfortable, but may have a decision to make in these final 15 laps about pitting or not, because I reckon these wet tyres are going away from everybody now, and that's why they're all sliding around and looking so lethargic all of a sudden. But at the moment, she's still leading, and pitting would put her down in second at least, maybe third.
Oh, she might have a good old choice here because of this.
Oh, not again. He's wrestling with that car. Oh, has he grabbed the wall? Oh, he has. In a very big way. Kainlati, the winner from the last round, is in the wall, and has his front left disappeared entirely? I think he's missing his front left entirely. Although the wing mirror is in the way, so you can't see. But oh no, he's still there. He's just having to limp back to pit lane with no front end. He will have to get some new tyres and a new front to that car. There he is in pit lane. Stoy may well move up to second place and will do. Look for him on the left-hand side. There he goes through into second position after that crash for Kainlati.
Yeah, all done. Thomas Rosa is really sick. As he was driving, he got more and more of a headache, and he had to give up there as well. But he did say beforehand that he wasn't feeling very well. So Michael Stoyer puts himself in second place. Ollie Cargelati is still in the pit lane. Could that free up Oliver Day to come and take third place away from Cargelati?
Maybe. That's how long this is going to take, really, for Kainlati. Is it going to be a very long stop? Well, it's still going on at the moment. And so, could well see Oliver Day back on the podium again. Surely he couldn't rescue a 6th podium in a row in this championship. That would be impossible. But and indeed, it might well be. Kainlati does leave the pit lane now. So, with over half a minute to spare, he gets back on the road again in third. But that hit on the wall surely will have shaken him up a little bit, and he'll be cautious here at the pit lane.
He needs to be cautious anyway. He's been pushing like an absolute trooper, and the car's been every which way bar forward for Ollie. He's got to make sure you can get to the end of the race. If you can't get to the end, you're not going to score points. I know he ain't fighting out for a championship, and I physically understand that. But still, for Ollie, he's got a chance of getting past Thomas Rosa, Ralph Gerber, Michael Stoyer. Maybe not Becky, but he might be able to get up as far as Matthias Bogle. Depends on what's he going to take. 15 points gives him 40. That could potentially be third place in the championship. Well, no, because Becky's going to get 2050 fourth place in the championship.
That's complicated to work out. I don't know. I'll work that out at the end. But yeah, there are going to be some changes, that's for sure, for everybody, because the gap from third place down to 10th is just 13 points. So there's plenty up for grabs here, especially with some of them not on the start list. So yeah, we could well see some changes. As you say, Russell unfortunately retired from the race, so we do have our second retirement. Gerber and Chacon will both make their way through into 6th and 7th now. These next couple of moments with 13 laps to go.
Yeah, on the clock at the moment, 25 of 38. Becky Ely still out in front. Michael Stoyer in second. Ollie Cargelai in third place. Currently on the fastest lap on a 1:53.726. Ollie Day down in fourth. Andy Schrempzer is in fifth. Ralph Gerber sixth. And Bruno Chacon is still running in seventh place. However, how much longer is Bruno Chacon going to be running? Because he's just done this.
See what this is. Into double left. Just seemed seemingly understeered there more than anything. Just couldn't get it turned and goes off into the endless amount of grass on the outside there. On the right hand side. And there is Andy Schrempzer, I think.
Yeah.
Just trying to overtake. So he's still fifth, still trying to catch Day, but still quite a long way behind. And again, especially Gerber and Chacon, they are really struggling out there on the circuit, and they're about to be a lap down on everybody else. They're already 2 down on the leader, but they're about to be a lap behind the top 5 in its entirety. So it's been a difficult race for them.
Yeah, definitely there as well. Random 325. If you want to know, Ollie is playing with a stock car. Tell me more, Mr. Random. I'm not quite sure what it means. I think he's got no setup on it, and he's using an R-Factor bait setup.
I guess that might be. Yeah, I think that's what it means. Yeah, a completely stock car. Yeah, I guess that's what it must mean. I thought he meant. The body he's got on is one of a stock car. That'd be weird, but that's not what it means. I don't think.
No, it can't be. I think it's got to be the fact Ollie's running a base setup, isn't he? I don't think he's done much of it, to be honest with you. But I mean, he's still sitting in fourth.
I mean, maybe you can tell us how much difference would a setup make around here. A lot of this does seem to be individual drivers' wheel work and ability rather than setup. But I guess you've got to set up the car for being comfortable to slide around, as most of them are doing.
Do you reckon sliding is faster though than having a grip like a modern car would be now?
Oh, I think sliding in these cars almost certainly is better, yeah. Because look at the lack of aerodynamic grip they've got compared to cars today. I mean, that's not even a rear wing. He's just got 2 flaps either side of the cockpit. That's no use. Well, not no use, but it's very little use as far as aerodynamic goes. If you look at the sports cars of today, let's take, I don't know what would be comparable most to these, because
a 9X8.
Prototypes don't really work as a comparison to them, but because they're so much better. But because they're just so much better. But I guess that's mainly because their aerodynamics is so much better. So I guess they are comparable. But yeah, I mean, the as I said before, the grip that these guys will be getting will mostly be coming from the mechanical grip. And that comes at slow speed, and there are almost no slow speed corners around this circuit. So actually they're sliding around here because there's no aerodynamics to hold them down on the floor. If you were to just hold on and not make this car slide at all, then you would be going really quite slowly, I think, and you'd be understeering a lot. You need to get the rear end out to get the car around corners.
I do wonder whether or not, like driving it as a modern day car, or as you would today, where you're obviously braking earlier, letting it roll through the corner, not having that rear end slide out as much, drive through the other side, come out, doing that. I wonder what sort of times you would get. Obviously, you know, in the wet, you're not going to quite get them times. But it's whether or not the back end will automatically do that as well. There are cars, obviously, that you can tune to automatically have a loose rear end, like Ollie Day is providing me with great footage of that loose rear end, and he's in the wall. Is Ollie Day, unfortunately, on that one. He went in too deep. He hit the grass and went straight into the barrier on the left-hand side.
Oh, and he's slowly getting himself back again out on the exit of turn 4 there. Oh, he's sliding all over the place. You think?
Yeah, I think when he gets to a certain point, you'll see the movement in the wheel. I think he's got damage somehow on that car. Look.
It might be okay. And there, by the way, there's the problem with why you don't drive this car. You just saw the first part of that corner there. That's why you don't drive it as a normal car, because it does just understeer and understeer forever. If you know, there's no front splitter on that car. There's nothing front aerodynamics wise. It's only just placed in an aerodynamic shape in as far as drag goes. It's not got the front end downforce. The suspension's far too soft. You just cannot drive these like a real car, like a modern day car.
Yeah, I'd love to see you have a go though, Mr. O'Leary.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun, but I don't know if I'd like to race one. It would be fun probably, but
how long do you reckon you'd last for?
Hard to say without me ever having driven them before, but I can't imagine I'd make it more than a lap or two without crashing.
I agree with you. I think on that one, not that I agree that you wouldn't make it a lap. I agree that that we probably wouldn't collectively make it a lap together. No, I think that would be the thing, wouldn't it? It was like the opening of last night's broadcast, wasn't it, Mr. O'Leary?
Those that didn't see, yes. I was obviously talking about our driving ability at the time, which is lacking. Let's say at times. That's why we're up here. That's why we're up here, of course. I do need to get into driving again at some point, but it's pretty tricky, to be honest. So there you go. But glad to have these guys all here, of course. Still 7 of them racing around for the final 10 laps. Becky Lee just started lap 28, so the end of this one will be on the countdown in the final 10 laps, and he's just bringing it home now. 3/4 of a minute to the good. It's just bringing it in, and on her return to the series after 4 weeks away, looks like she's finally going to win for the first time this season.
Yeah, I'm only just about going to have 3 people on the lead lap. Arcadian will be the last one on the lead lap. Day 4, Schwemser 5th, Gerber 6th, Chacon still going in 7th, Rosser and Ducati's out. We saw what happened to Ducati. Rosser, as I said, he's not been feeling well. Thought he'd come out and give it a go, and unfortunately is 6th, so get well soon, Thomas, on that one. Hopefully see you back on track for the final round, which is going to be very, very exciting indeed here. Hopefully we can get everybody that's taken part this season come back out again and join us for one last flurry. So looking forward to that one.
Yeah, there we go. 10 laps to go. Just pop up on the top left of your screen. Becky is just bringing it home from now and maybe catching Kognati, but quite difficult. It's a car that's sliding around all over the place. There is one that's less so. Is it raining less? Is it drying out, or am I going a little bit crazy? It looks like it's drying out to me.
Yeah, it does to me too. I don't think there's any more rain. Generally, the man that tells us whether or not there's rain is Oliver Day, because he's got the visor, which makes it easy for us to see. And at the moment, there's no wind. All right, windscreen then. Sorry. And there's no window wiper going on that way. You've been very pedantic this evening, as Michael Stoyer has unfortunately been off the circuit.
Have a look at that from second place, Michael Stoy in the field. This is on the... there is still some wet patches, because he's just found one there on the left-hand side. He's given across the grass. He's back on again. Oh, still a lot of spray.
Hold on a minute. I don't think this is done.
No?
No.
We'll see through turn 4.
Second one after this.
All right, we'll hold on for a couple of corners here as he makes his way over the top of the hill here at turn 4. A pretty difficult left-hand kink, which is not really a factor in modern day Red Bull ring. However, it certainly is in these cars at these speeds.
Is this one? Oh, I don't know then. Maybe it's just a little bit of an error on that one. It says that he flashed up, he had another one. So
maybe. You did spend a lot of time in the grass in that one that we did see, I suppose. So maybe that's...
no,
there it
he
is. Oh, goodness. Just he lost traction over the brow of the hill there.
So it didn't lie to me.
No. Well, that was... could have been worse. That's the way he's grazing the wall there. And so he can continue on, but... You know, his heart will be in his mouth after that. You can't afford too many more moments like that. Otherwise, you know, you'll be in real danger of hitting the wall properly. And as Kyan Lachi will tell you, that's certainly going to be the end of whatever position you find yourself in.
Yeah, I think you can safely say now it's all about preservation, isn't it? Keeping it to get to the end of the race. You can't sit there. You're realistically, these cars are too far away from anybody in and around them to warrant making a difference. So what you're better off doing now is consolidate what you have got and keeping hold of what you have got and finish the rain with what you've got, rather than trying to do anything silly and push forward and cause yourself even more problems.
Yep. Over the line again, start lap 30 for Stoit, looking to just bring this one home as well. With 9 laps remaining. Looks like we'll stay on the lead lap though, which is a good performance. Stoy at the moment is in 6th position in the championship, having only appeared for the first time in round number 4 at Brands Hatch. Yet to finish below 6th where he was 1 round ago. With this performance, he's not going to get ahead of Ely, but will get ahead of Bogle and maybe Schremser as well. Yeah, I think we'll get ahead of Schremser as well. So it moves up to 4th place in the standings, which is a good gain. Ely should move up to 3rd, which is a pretty good return on only 3 rounds, but still finishing 3rd, or at least being 3rd going into the final round.
I do wonder whether or not that's just because of the mixture of drivers that appeared throughout this series. We've had 24 drivers appear in this series, and there is literally... probably count them with one hand the amount of drivers that have completed all rounds previously. In fact, I can count it on 2 fingers by the looks of it, and that's Oliver Day and Andy Schremser. Nobody else has completed all rounds other than them 2. So it just goes to show that there's been a lot of participation, but it's been very spread across the season compared to what we had probably in round 2, where Brianza, where it was like 20 cars. Then it kind of dropped off a little bit to what we've got now. And as I say, apart from Oliver Day and Andy Schremser, everybody else has not finished or even taken part in many races in and around them. Matthias Bogle's had a DNF. He's had one not turn up. He's not here again. And then he's had one obviously not in the race. So he's only competed 3 rounds. So there's a lot of participation spread, shall we say, in the championship.
There certainly is. Although, you know, there are plenty of people who've missed, you know, just 1 round or whatever. We've seen Ralph Becker here at most rounds, though I think he's might be done for the season now. Chacon's only missed a couple. He's here today. Of course, Kyan Lachi's only missed 1, but up until at the end of round 5, it only scored 5 points, despite being at 4 of those rounds, which is a disappointment on his season, I suppose, especially considering how quick he's been. 1 last time out, of course. Looks like he's on his way to another podium here. Who else has been here? Rolf Gerber, of course, only has lost 1 round. He's only been at an absence for 1 round, so plenty of people around for most of the championship season, which is a good thing. And yeah, again, looking forward to Le Mans, seeing what's going to happen when we go there. We'll be at the end of September, that for the final round of the championship. We're eagerly anticipating what layout of Le Mans it's going to be, but as you say, well, I'm looking forward to it. James less so because he doesn't like Le Mans, but I'm looking forward to Le Mans because of the racing that it can produce, especially with a long Mulsanne straight and no chicanes to break it up. The slipstream fest down there will be even more obvious.
Yeah, it will be. It'll be a very to you, to me kind of scenario, but it will also be more imperative that if they lose the slipstream, how much time are they going to lose with it? You've got to think it's a long old straight, and it goes on for probably a good 25 seconds down the Mulsanne straight. So that's going to be very interesting to see. I felt the dig in your comment there. Well, I'm really looking forward to it, not so much James. I did feel it, and it hurt, and it was in my back, of course. But at the end of the day, I just don't like it.
I just can't believe you don't like it, that's all.
No, what was it? Give me one good definition, apart from the history of running the 24-hour, one good track thing about it that makes it good.
I'll give you two, just to one up you.
Overexert yourself. Go on, go for it.
In terms of actual racing, the Mulsanne Straight provides lots of slipstreams, so it keeps things close, and you get good battles into the chicanes nowadays, or into the Mulsanne corner itself back in the day. That's a good track attribute that you need. Lots of slipstreaming chance. And second of all, the Porsche curves are a nice flowing section of corners, so if you don't like driving it, then that's one part of the circuit. Because I actually don't like driving it loads, but racing it is the real attraction. But even the Porsche curves on your own are very nice to go through, especially if you're in a high downforce car like we've got in the modern day. Maybe these cars will be a bit more tricky around there, but modern day cars nicely flowing through the Porsche curves, very nice to drive indeed.
I can't. No, it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
There's no convincing you.
No, well, the thing is, I think having driven it, you are right, and I will say things to you like now. You are right about the fact of Mulsanne, but that is it. There isn't many things other than that. You've got the sharp stop down into Indianapolis, and then the little right-left down in through Arnage. But then you're going in through Porsche curves and stuff like that. And at times, unless people are being big brave and, picking them up and sticking them in their pocket, it's very boring. That is literally, it's a straight, right, left, straight, left, right, straight, right, straight, left, straight, right, straight, few little wiggles, and you're at the end. It's not very exciting. Not at all.
No, I'll agree on the driving front. I don't think it's great, but I think for actual racing it is going to be good because of the slipstreaming chances. It's not just the Mulsanne Straight, as you say, as that was quite an awkward moment. And Larty getting through on Schremser there, the double left-hander. I think Schremser was trying his best to stay out of the way, but very tricky on such a narrow circuit. Oh, this is Chacon, is it? Further down?
Holiday.
Oh, Oliver Day, oh dear. Off at the double left-hander.
So
that was a lap or so ago now, as he makes his way back out onto the circuit again and continues to consolidate fourth place. I'm presuming that even with that pit stop, he's doing enough to stay ahead of Schremser here quite comfortably.
Yeah, I think he is. He's got a big old gap to Schremser anyway. It's about 33 seconds. Let us know in YouTube chat whether or not you like or love or hate the Le Mans. Just let me know. Not the 24-hour race, just the circuit. Okay, let us know whether or not you like it, you love it, you hate it, you don't want it on that one, because clearly me and Mr. O'Leary cannot agree on the fact it's a straight, a little wiggle, straight, wiggle, wiggle, straight, turn right. I just can't. I can't see the attraction.
Only comment if you're supporting me.
Well, yeah, there is that. But listen, you don't like Sebring, and I think Sebring's got a lot more to it than Le Mans.
Oh no! No, it's just
out. You've got the Ullman, Sunset, Turn 1,
it's
into
a bit
2,
bumpy.
3.
That's what it's got.
Yeah, it's got the bumps on it, but it's got a lot more racing. It's got a lot more pedigree for overtaking and not just straight draft pass, next lap, straight draft pass, next lap, straight draft. No. Sebring is a lot better circuit than Le Mans, I'm sorry. However, the Bugatti circuit at Le Mans, I'd race by the looks of it because it looks quite fun. Possibly a go-kart.
You never have.
Never have, no, but it does. It's only 2.6 miles. I think anything more than a Formula V or an FF1600 would probably be a little bit too quick for it.
It's not quite that short. You could get a GT4 around there without it. I mean, MotoGP goes around there, for goodness sake. It's not that short.
Well, see, that would be fun, but no. No, anything else? No. Just no.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'd love to see Formula One go around Le Mans, just to see how long it's going to take them.
Well, I did used to. Well, I still do a Formula One championship actually, and one season, a couple of years ago, we did do Le Mans as a Formula One race. You know, the full 300 kilometres, normal distance, normal F1 rules, and all that kind of thing. It was pretty good, I would say. So different to sports car racing, and it's such a weird sight to see open wheel cars going around there that it's actually somewhat difficult to get used to. But it wasn't groundbreakingly good, but it was good. I think you could take any cars around there and have good racing at Le Mans, to be honest with you.
No, Ash doesn't agree with you. Too long and straight, kind of boring, hard to focus on braking at the right time after a while. But I'm not a great driver.
Exactly.
Ash,
that's a skill issue.
No, it's not a
Focus
skill.
on the braking after a long straight. That's a skill issue. I'm not having that.
Do not upset the people at home who are watching this, listening to me and you have a podcast about Le Mans. At the end of the day, it is not. Basically, you're not wrong, Ash. I agree with you. It's long, it's boring, it's meh. It's just got no characteristic of anything other than a wet blanket in a bush. I don't know. That's about it.
Blanket in a bush. Goodness
I
me.
don't know. I don't know where that will come
When
from.
you've never been come across.
But yeah, I don't like it personally. I don't think I've ever. No. I can't remember if I've ever done a league with this circuit in. To be blatantly honest with you.
What? Le Mans or here?
Le Mans. Here, I like.
Le Mans.
This looks quite fun, but Le Mans, no.
It's something I bet you didn't know. I once did a 12-hour race as a finale of an endurance championship back at, again, we were talking about 8 years ago now, where I got into the car with 2 hours to go of this 12-hour race, had a Titanic scrap, again, because it's a great circuit for racing, for the win in the GT3 class, and went on and won. And we won the championship, so there you go.
What, at Le Mans?
Yep.
How many other cars were there?
Oh, I can't remember. Probably around 20, maybe a bit less, something like that.
Yeah, no. Fair play for winning, though, because you've done more than what I've managed to do. Saying that, I won the MX500, so at Martinsville, so you know what I mean?
That is true. That's quite an achievement. I've not won an iRacing special event before, and you have.
Yeah, I have. Starting 34th at the... did I tell you I started at the back and then went to the front and won?
You told me, yep.
Yeah, okay, just checking everybody at home. I started in 34th and finished in
so we go through it again.
Yeah, it's in the lead on that one for the MX500 at Martinsville, which took me 4.5 hours and drove it all in VR because I didn't think I was going to be out very long.
I'll just do the first 20 laps or so, and
Yeah, that's what I said to the guy who spotted me.
I know,
I said, we'll only be here for an hour. It'll be all right. I said I'll get crashed out before then. Jesus Christ, I finished on 20x as well, which was less than anybody out of the whole thing.
Goodness me, 20 is the lowest.
Yeah.
Oh, God. What a catastrophe.
Man, that's a lot for 4.5 hours. That's not a lot for 4.5 hours. It's like 5 an hour I achieved.
Yeah, but well, I suppose it's Martinsville, so but yeah. Yeah, fair enough.
Don't you really? That's harder than Le Mans.
I'm just thinking because you can't get off tracks at Martinsville. So
but you can get
properly complex. That's why.
Have you seen the people who drove it? Oh, dearie me. I should have recorded it. It would have made a great broadcast. But I didn't. But yeah, there we go. Should we get back to some racing as we've only got a couple of laps to go here?
Well, maybe. 2.5 laps to go with Becky Ely still leading. That was Gerber, by the way, being put another lap down. I think he's got enough to finish ahead of Chacon now in 6th position. And indeed, all of the drivers probably have enough, although Story is getting caught by Kyan Larty, who's probably benefiting from the fact he's pitted during this race versus Stoy, although the gap's 10 seconds and there's really not a lot of time remaining.
No, and I don't think anybody's going to go in again. Don't forget, these guys are going to be stuck on wet tyres now. You can see the racing line starting to dry out. You can physically see that. And there it is there on the inside line as it's starting to dry. Nobody's really going to go in because that would just be absolutely ridiculous at this point. You can see, I think Stoyer's still on the wet tyres on that one. Kyan he's definitely on the wet. And Becky Ely, just see the grip at the bottom of the fender of her car there, or the mud, what is technically the mud flap. So, yeah, nobody's going to go in, but it is drying up now as well. You might as well just go and roast up your wet tyres for the last couple of laps.
And in R-Factor 2, it is a real factor about overheating tyres. Once they do go over that point, it's very difficult to bring them back again. And I wonder whether Kaianlati was maybe struggling with that a little bit earlier on in the race, because he did have the look of a driver struggling for grip, as we maybe heard from earlier on, although we haven't got clarification. We think he's going on a standard setup, which may be one reason why. Through the chicane at the top of the hill with 2 laps to go for Becky Ely. In control, I think, is the phrase to use. And at the moment, looks like she's going to become our 4th different race winner of this season.
Yeah, dominated. Domination from green to checkered. The car's more stable. It has. It's been a complete and utter domination. No. And she's got a melon hat on her head as well, just to prove that she is a cut above the rest. Who else drives around? Yeah, she's got a watermelon helmet.
Oh, I see.
There you go, look, it's a watermelon.
Hard for me to see from up here, to be honest, but yeah, it does look like
where are you? Up in the air, or what's the situation? You're off in the JPB helicopter. Is that where you're commentating from?
You didn't afford one of those yet. Anyway, yeah, it's difficult, but anyway, and one of the few drivers actually you can see the helmet off as well, because it's an open cockpit car, which is slightly unusual actually compared to the others. Although, as we were saying earlier on, you got to use Oliver Day almost to try and get a windscreen and see whether it's still raining. There's Stoy with no windscreen. There is Kaianlati with no windscreen. Maybe it's the norm to not have a windscreen, I suppose. There's Oliver Day, who is not getting wet, unlike the rest of them. He's safely inside. Schremster, I think, is inside as well.
No, he's
so
not.
That's not very helpful, I guess. Is he not?
No, he's outside. He's outside in the elements.
Oh, he is, yeah, of course, yeah.
And obviously Ralph Gerber's in the same car as Kaianlati, so he definitely is. And I think the only other one, even Bruno Chicon is outside as well. So he's got no cover on either. So there we go.
So Day.
Yeah, it's literally only Oliver Day inside the cockpit, as Becky Ely's on the final lap.
Yep, just one more time round for Becky Ely now. You take the win at the Oesterreich Ring. As we mentioned a moment ago, hasn't been overtaken once in this race. It was a difficult start for her. She, for whatever reason, left a bit of space on the table on the way towards turn number 1 as she pulled into a grid box. Left about a metre ahead of her before she actually had to stop. But it didn't seem to matter, despite a bit of a slide on the opening. Kaianlati did have a look up the inside on the way towards turn 1. Couldn't get through and challenged for a while, but she weathered that storm. Survived the worst of the weather too, and at some stages it was getting quite bad. But towards the end, she's completely dominated this and is on her way to a first race win of the season. Only her 3rd appearance after 5 races away. She's back again and back with a bang here at the Oesterreich Ring into the final few corners. The left-hander, the Texaco chicane. We've still not worked out why it's called a chicane when it's clearly just two ends to the left.
It's a double left, isn't it? It's Roush and Worth off the modern circuit.
And as we were saying earlier on, this is a little bit more familiar territory for everybody. This part of the circuit has remained pretty much the same right up until today, other than the fact that the final 2 corners, as they would be today, is just one long looping one instead. Into that final braking zone of the lap comes Ely. And now, focusing on that exit, is going to win the race. After 38 laps of the Oesterreich Ring, round 7 of the Simracers Revival Sports Car Championship goes to Becky Ely, ahead of the rest of the field by nearly a minute after dominating here in round 7.
Yeah, absolutely went out, and Tigger said it best in YouTube chat. Becky is a machine. Congratulations as well. So fair play to Becky, doing an exceptional job. I think Michael Stoyer might just about hang on here from Kaianlati. They are, I believe, around the same part, around the Texaco chicane. Again, if anybody, they're not very far apart, are they? 30 seconds. I wonder if Stoyer's running out of fuel here.
Just limping home. Don't know why. It's short shifting. No, he's back to 3rd again there. And fires down into the final corner. They'd never grab 5th here anyway. I don't think he's going to run out of fuel, but Kaianlati's really given this a go right at the very end. Look at him firing it into the final corner. knows that this is the last, maybe one more lap and he would have got there, and he's throwing everything at it, slides his way around the final turn with the big opposite lock as well, but he's over the line in third. It's his second podium in a row, but he might be disappointed he didn't finish second, because without that crash at this corner, he might have got there.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think he come down and absolutely gave it a good old go right towards the end here. We're just waiting for Andy Schrempfer to go over the line, and then we can bring you up the results of this race. It's been very, very interesting.
As always in this series, difficult race for absolutely everybody, but there it is, final driver over the line. Becky Ely wins at the end of 38 laps. Michael Stoyan, Olli Kalinyati round out the podium, with Oliver Day, the champion now officially, in fourth position ahead of Andy Schrempfer, and then 3 laps down was Rolf Gerber and Bruno Chacon in those who finished. Thomas Rosser retired about half an hour ago, 35 minutes ago, with illness, and Philippe Giacarti had his engine blow on the very first lap. So that is it for the racing as far as it goes. As you say, a decent race, a difficult race for many, because it was so wet at one stage, and it is such a difficult circuit as well. But Becky Ely didn't make a single mistake and won by nearly a minute in the end. And now everyone's focus will turn forward to Le Mans. Everybody will have a free slate there, really, because we already know the name of our champion, Oliver Day, with 1 round still remaining. And many of the other positions are settled as well. So everyone's going to have a free hand going into Le Mans, which they'll all be looking forward towards now in 2 weeks' time.
No, well, I'll tell you one thing. Risto Corpi's got to turn up.
Maybe. Ely will be 15 points behind him.
Yeah, but
She doesn't need
Schrempfer's
to
not
win
going to be.
again. Yeah,
Schrempfer's will be on 42. Ely will be on 50. Yeah, so maybe I think Risto Corpi might have to turn up to see if he gets that second place here. We've been jumped in the interview booth, because we are here because the broadcast booth did not like Ewan O'Leary here, and we've been joined by our winner, the lady of the moment, the dominating one, the only, come back and shown the boys how to do it, is Miss Becky Ely. Good evening, young lady. How are you?
I'm doing okay, thank you. And thank you for quite the introduction, James. How are you, good sir?
I'm very well. I'm not too bad. I have spent the last hour and 45 minutes arguing with Mr. O'Leary about the Le Mans racetrack.
Oh, not the whole time, but most
really?
of the time.
Well, most of it, yeah.
Okay, well, I look forward to hearing your argument. I hope it's an entertaining one. They usually are.
But yes, they are. There you go. Mr. O'Leary, over to you. I've taken your interview.
Oh, that's quite all right. We're just having a chat. I mean, it tells a little bit about what it was like to drive. There's only so much we can say in terms of describing it, but tell us what it was like for actually being there. To put it very mildly, and maybe underselling it slightly, it looked difficult.
It was very difficult. It sure kept it interesting, though. The changeable conditions made it a lot of fun, just driving around, and like the second half I was just cruising around, because I'm still not doing well enough to be 10 temps, as they say, for a long time. So the wet actually helped me out a lot with that, because you generally do take it a bit easier. So it meant I was a bit more competitive. Like, I don't know whether you've seen many races this year, Ewan, or I know James has, but you've probably noticed that as the race goes on, I drop back and back as I run out of energy and have to drive slower to actually keep it on the track. But yeah, the wet really evened the playing field for me today. So I was able to take advantage of that. And then once Ollie pitted, I was like, okay, I can just cruise and just enjoy it.
It's quite difficult for us to tell from spectator cameras, especially actually how bad the conditions were at some stage. How did they evolve throughout the race? How bad did it get at its worst point?
Well, it went from almost dry to the point that, like, the tyres, they're not really the right tyres, because I admit I did a lot of the physics on these cars, and this track was my test track, so I had a bit of an advantage, even though I haven't been able to go in the sim for quite a while. I guess that advantage carried over anyway, but there was meant to be intermediates, which would have been perfect for today, although when the rain got heavy, the inters probably wouldn't have been perfect. So there would have been it would have been very interesting to see on strategy today had there been inters. But when the track got very wet, it got tricky, and you really had to ease in the throttle. You could spin up the rear wheels in 4th gear, and I was only changing into 5th to save the engine, and you could still spin up the wheels in 4th. So it's a very tricky one. Lots of feather in the throttle, that is for sure, and very gentle on the brakes. But it was really good fun sliding the car around.
I bet it looked fun. Looked like there was a lot of sliding going around from everybody. Of course. I mean, one last thing as well on those tyres. We saw quite a few come into the pit lane. Were you never tempted to make a pit stop? What was the sort of reason, do you think, other than damage? Obviously, we saw the obvious damaged cars making pit stops, but was there never the temptation for you to make a tyre change as well? Would that have been worth it in another situation, another race, or is that always just for those who have had damage or maybe taken too much out of their tyres?
So the tyre situation for really just this mod in general is the tyres should be dead at the end of the race, because that's about how long for most tracks they lasted in the 70s. And I think some people think because of that actually I better change the tyres. And I was almost caught out too, because there wasn't a lot of grip on the track. There wasn't a lot of rubber. In practice, it looked like it was going to be a tyre change. But then obviously as more rubber goes down, even though it's raining, there's still rubber going down. That meant that it absolutely was not a tyre change. But people may have already planned for that tyre change, seeing the massive tyre wear in practice. So it's a bit of strategy, a bit of luck. For me, it's a lot of luck that Oliver Day convinced me to not bother with a pit stop, because my steering wheel, I've had a few technical issues still this year, and all the buttons on my steering wheel stopped working, so I couldn't have pitted even if I wanted to. So that made it a very good decision for me.
Yes, I was going to say that maybe helped, I suppose. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Well, for Oliver Day, for telling me to not bother with a pit stop, because that won me the race instead of me having to retire. I'd like to shout out to Andy, Chief Wiggum, for making the mod in the first place. He pumps out beautiful cars, and it has been an honour being able to work with him on the cars. It really has. I'm very grateful to him for allowing me to tinker with his cars. And Thomas and Matthias for running the show. They've made a really great league, and it's a shame that more people don't realise what a great league this is, because it's so friendly, so inviting. Everyone's so nice, and the racing's really fun. So it's a shame this league isn't bigger, but it means that it's only really nice people that hang around. So it's still always fun racing with these guys, even if there's only 4 of us. It's still good times, and I'd like to thank you guys for sticking through the season, even though it's been a bit of a low show. So thank you very much for sticking with it and for doing today, and I hope that Le Mans is a good one. Unfortunately, I missed that one, but I hope that's a good one for you guys, and just thank you very much for doing it. And then I'd also just like to thank everyone. This is a perfect wedding gift from the community, from the Simracers Revival group, because I'm getting married in 5 days. And yeah, couldn't think of a better wedding present from sim racing people than gifting me a win like that.
Congratulations, and hope you enjoy it in a few days. Thanks very much for coming to chat to us after the race, and once again, congratulations from us on the victory here tonight.
Thank you very much.
I do expect to see wedding photos. You know what I mean? Come on, I want an OK Magazine professional Becky Ealy spread winner of the Oesterreich ring. Come on, I want photos, the $1 million deals. Where are they all, Becky?
I have no idea, James, but
man,
yeah, there'll definitely be photos going in somewhere, or probably a few places.
Somewhere.
Yeah,
that'll be somewhere. No, yeah, congratulations, and we'll. I'm sure we'll see you racing something again soon.
Yeah, probably like mid to late October. You will definitely.
Yeah, you
Right,
don't want
we'll
to be
see
at Le
then.
Mans anyway. So, yeah, man.
I mean, I do
No,
want to
again.
do it Le Mans. If I had the time, I was going to be upgrading the engines to the 1979 spec, which had they went up to 1.7 bar turbo, which in these cars with the like reduced weight would just be absolutely just bat poop insane. And I'm afraid I don't have time for the rest of the guys to upgrade the engine to that spec, because it would have made Le Mans absolutely mad.
Well, it's going to be either way, but no. Thanks very much again for chatting to us. Shame that you won't be there, and as I say, we'll see you racing something again in a month or so.
You will have a great time, and yeah, thank you again for putting on the show.
Thanks very much, Becky. The winner of the Oesterreich Ring round of the Simracers Revival Sports Car Championship. That's just about going to do it for us tonight, James. Just Le Mans to go. We won't repeat our argument about the Mans, but
It's a great circuit.
Just one more round to go of this season, and then Oliver Day will be confirmed officially the champion, even if he is already uncatchable. And everybody else got the chance for one more race win, and it's not going to be Becky Ely going back to back. It's going to be someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, these guys have got a time to sit back, put the practice in at Le Mans. We're going to find out what the layout is. That would be great if somebody could let us know which layout they're going to be doing of the track. There's no information as of yet published. But I just hope they get everyone. Come on, there's like 20 odd of you. Get it all out on there. Let's have a last foray at Le Mans. It doesn't matter if you're last, first, or at the back of the championship. Get out and enjoy yourself. Come on, it'll be a good one.
It certainly will. Thanks very much for joining us here this evening. If you've been watching along, we'll be back, of course, in a couple of weeks for that Le Mans round, as always. But for now, I've been Ian Lou alongside James Parfitt, and until we see you for another broadcast very soon, it's goodbye for now.